Hi, everybody. My name is Ron Yaish, and today we're going to be focusing on something called MIB. So let's try to figure out what MIB stands for. And of course, we're going to get into some more specifics, but let's just start with this for now. Um, so we have MIB. So what could it stand for, right? It can stand for Management Information Base. Mint in a box, probably a lot more delicious than management information base, or an MBA that is focused on international business. So that would be an MIB, or a movie that some of us have watched, yeah, Men in Black. Okay, so that's what it could stand for. But today, what we're going to be focusing on is a more specific aspect of MIB and what that stands for, specifically in the insurance industry. That stands for Medical Information Bureau. Now, this is not a state-run or a federal-run organization like the FBI, right? It's not that type of bureau. I'll kind of explain a little bit more about that. And what that is in just a moment. But it usually comes up when somebody is in the middle of a life insurance application. Okay, that could be term life, whole life, um, any type of life insurance application, annuity, with X, Y, and Z life insurance company. At some point, the agent, the person that you're in touch with, is going to say something like, we need your permission to do an MIB report. So let's take a look at what an MIB, what that could look like on an application. So somewhat generic information, but this is what it looks like, right? So I do some work in the burial insurance space, final insurance space as well. And within that space, we do a lot of things over the phone, especially now in this time period. I don't know when you're watching this, but this is 2020, and we're in this COVID time period. A lot of people are working remotely and aren't so comfortable with having people come to their home. So we're doing a lot of these explanations, a lot of these type of applications over the phone, and we are so we're actually articulating details that in the past, an agent may, wrongfully so, may give somebody, a bunch of pieces of paper and they would just sign away, not necessarily reading the details. But the way that some of the insurance companies have it set up is either you're reading paragraphs out loud on a recorded line, or the insurance company has somebody that you're calling into their telesignature for, and that individual is reading this. So it's a little jarring and a little dramatic when somebody's getting all these things read. So I'm going to kind of paraphrase and go through this. So it's basically, I'm authorizing medical providers, hospitals, clinic, pharmacy benefit managers to be okay with having my information shared behind the scenes. Okay, so what does that mean? It's very formal. And they're going to share such things as your medical history and whether you had certain conditions and what type of medications you've taken. And they actually include your driving record as well, which is interesting because you wouldn't think necessarily that comes under the insurance piece, which is what we're going to get to specifically with the MIB. But driving records are included as part of the risk factors, right? An insurance company has to figure out, okay, you're looking for a $5,000 or $1 million policy, and what should we charge you? So it starts off with, okay, how old you are, how much are you looking to get coverage for, and what is your situation? So that word, what is your situation? What is your risk to that insurance company, right? So are you somebody that is healthy, they're probably not going to have to pay out on, or will they need to pay out on? At this point, the numbers are something like 97% of term life policies aren't paid on because somebody gets a 20-year policy for $250,000. That 20 years will be up before the person passes. So 97% of the time, the insurance company knows that that's the way the numbers have shown that they don't need to pay that out because just the numbers are in their favor. When it comes to whole life products, those things pay out 100% of the time. So those things are naturally going to be more expensive, A, because what they have to pay out, but B, they also want to see what type of risk you may be for the insurance company. So information like your medical history, that stuff plays into that. Okay, so then they get into I understand that my information is going to be shared and the entities involved are going to do this in such a way where we're not violating any federal privacy regulations. Okay, and information is going to be disclosed in a very discrete way for the purpose that I am describing. So it can't just be, it's not being disseminated out, but it's being shared with company X, Y, and Z that you're, filling out their application. And they want to know this information for you. Now you have the ability, well, two things. You have the ability after you give the okay, if you choose to give the okay, to revoke that okay. And this okay is standing if they have to do updates or so throughout the policy, if that's what they wind up doing, this approval is good for 24 months. But let's just get into this for a minute. Just so you understand what the MIB is, okay? So the MIB is a not-for-profit organization that is made up of over 400 insurance companies. And what they do is similar to, not exactly, but similar to when you get your numbers checked if you apply for a loan, right? So they're going to do a check on your social, where they're going to be able to know exactly where you bank and how much debt you have, and they want to know all that information behind the scenes. So this is very similar. They're going to get the information behind the scenes from different ways that you may have used insurance, right? So whether it's prescriptions, whether it's what doctors you went to see. So those are the types of things, and they kind of share that together behind the scenes with each other as long as you give them permission. So they would know, what kind of medications you're on. So it does two things, right? So one thing this does is it saves you a lot of time as an applicant, that you're not filling out a 200-page document in order to get some life insurance, because now the insurance company needs your basic information, who's your beneficiary, and some handful of 10 to 25 yes or no questions. Have you been hospitalized the past 24 months? Do you have the following ailment? Are you suffering from this? Do you think this is your situation? So they take that profile. And some of these applications, could be less than 10 pages. Some could be 5 pages. And then what they do is they run an MIB. So while you're telling them, okay, I'm not taking any medications, or I'm only taking these 2 medications, they could see it. Well, okay, John Doe just got a prescription for the following 4 different prescriptions filled out. And these are usually for, cardiac issues or circulatory issues, or asthma or whatever it is, and we want to figure out what that's for, because especially if there's one medication that could be used for multiple things, the underwriter may then reach out to the agent and say, let's have a conversation with this applicant and find out what they're using this information for, because they want to make sure that they make a good decision for them as well as for you, right? If they make better decisions, overall, it keeps your costs down, right? Because protecting their risk protects you. You don't have to pay as much for the products that you're getting, and it also protects everybody from fraud. So they're able to see that. They're able to see, okay, this individual has gone, to a a radiologist consistently every 3 months, who specializes in brain matters. Um, so what's the story with that? So they would automatically know if the price that they're quoting you matches the risk level that they expected that price to be. So, for example, if somebody were to look at a $100,000 policy, I'm making up numbers, not talking about any states. This is not an offer. This is not an offer to sell or buy or any kind of miscommunication. This is just an example. So if somebody we'll use even numbers. For $100,000, it would cost somebody $20 for term life. Okay. So now the insurance company learns that this individual just went through brain surgery a month prior and has a history of X and is on some serious medications. They may come back and say, we don't insure individuals with those type of situations. Or instead of $20 a month, for that risk profile, that's going to cost you $250 a month. Whoa! So you could take that insurance, but it's going to cost you X, and that's how they're able to do that. So they get the information from behind the scenes as kind of like a credit check, and your information is shown to them if you give permission. Now you do have a right as a individual who is applying for insurance. You do have a right to say, when you're asked about this MIB authorization, you do have a right to say, well, you know what, I'm not comfortable with that. And that's fine. That is your right. You have a right to say, I am not giving approval to that. Well, they're going to ask you to sign anyway somewhere, either digitally or with a voice signature or a wet signature, or they'll mail it to you, whatever they wind up doing. But you have a right to say no. But just understand that then you're by telling the insurance company that, they most probably will tell you that they can't insure an individual who's not going to give them the tools that they need to make a proper assessment. So it's not about getting you on something or not getting you on something or sharing this information. They're sharing information all over the place. The MIB is basically a network of insurance companies, health insurance companies, life insurance companies. They're all sharing information behind the scenes with those people that give them specific permission to do so. So again, you could take the position to say, I'm not comfortable with this. I don't want to have an MIB report done or an MIB check. But I would say probably 99.9% of the time, and I'm just saying that because I don't, maybe there is somebody who would, an insurance company would turn around and probably say, we can't insure you. So when you're ready to give us permission, then we can even do the underwriting search, and then we can get back to you with more information. But that's kind of what this MIB is. So it stands for, again, the Medical Information Bureau. Specifically in the insurance industry, it is part of every insurance application. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out.